This is pure joy, beauty, returning to my being in the fullest capacity of totality of that which I be. And I am in so much gratitude and joy for life. And to feel this feeling again, to feel it exude out of my cells and my molecules, and to feel the absolute gravity of what I'm being in this moment, and how I can show up here and share this message and energy with you. Every cycle has a completion. If you have not been aware, I have been in the realms of hell for the last 2 months, in and out, and a couple of other dimensions at different times, and mostly in the purification of the Isis consciousness. And I have struggled. This has been an initiation of a lifetime until we evolve into the next one. And I will have more tools and more awareness and more capability to meet it with the eyes of God as we continue to spiral our evolution and reconcile the timelines. So I am excited because in my own personal journey, I have been going through this purification process of the Isis consciousness, the Baraka process specifically, which is the cleansing of the mind, body, and soul in relation to a specific energetic structure or signature. And the process that comes through with that is this activation, there's a clearing, and then there's a purification, and then it solidifies. So this happens in all levels of consciousness. This happens in so many ways. So we may have, there's an activation of self-love, and you go through this clearing process. You activate it. Something activates it, where maybe it's heartbreak, maybe it's a desire to create more in your life, and there's an activation that takes place around self-love or heart opening, and you'll activate, and then you go through all of the clearing, all of the times I didn't feel love, all of the times I didn't love myself, all of the self-abandonment, all of the body shaming or the emotional manipulation I put myself through, whatever it is that has left me with the feeling I don't love myself. And so you go through this clearing process, and you clear and you purge and you move through that, and you release emotion and you release belief systems and values and attachments, and you clear away the density that holds this self-love signature. The self-love signature, I don't know why I did that in quotations, because we all are love. We are the embodiment of love, and so self-love is a story in itself. But it's a necessary part of the journey for most of us at some point or another. And so you go through the energetic signature of self-love, and then you go into this purification. So what is a purified version of self-love? What does that look like? What do I claim back? What do I reintegrate? How do I embody that? And it's this part of like trial and error of experience. You experience, okay, is this self-loving? Oh, well, I thought it was, but it wasn't quite. There was still a bit of distortion here based on this belief, and this piece was a little bit out of alignment. And the purification is this like fine-tuning part. So you're fine-tuning. You've cleared the muck, right? You've made the space. You're like, I'm calling in self-love. And you allow for the space to be filled with self-love. You allow for this new energetic signature to come through, that you can go, I do love myself. Now, that process can take as long as we desire. It's like this fine-tuning of what does self-love look like if that is me. And then you have the embodiment or the solidification. So the solidification is when you get to that point and you go, I am self-love. I am love, right? And you know it and you be it and you are it, and there's no part of you that's like, my hair, it's gross, and my skin, and I'm too fat, and I should have done this and I should have done that. That stuff, that body shaming, that self-shame, that little chatter in your head around that releases, it relinquishes. You become embodied, and that is no longer a story that shows up in your reality, because you've embodied love and you walk it, talk it, and people know that you love yourself. You know that you love yourself. Now, this process of activate, clear, purify, solidify is something that we all go through and we're all doing. Now, we're all doing it in different ways at the moment. There are so many different themes that are at play. There's a lot at play around the extremes of polarity, the extremes of light and dark, which are one. You cannot have light without the darkness. You cannot see the darkness and really truly love it until it can be returned to the source connection if you don't have the eyes of God. And so what we're being shown is where we don't see the darkness with love, where we don't see the truth through the eyes of God and through this polarizing lens. So we're all in a lot of polarizing experiences. There's these extreme separations. If you think about heaven and hell, angels and demons, you've got these extreme expressions, and what we're doing is we're bringing them into connection. Now, you may have activated this part of your experience, and it may be showing up in a specific lifetime. It may be showing up in a specific relationship. It may be showing up in a specific aspect of yourself where you're seeing the extremes of polarity, and you're being able to witness where this is. And it's this war against light and dark. It's this story that so many of us have, that we have to, like, the spiritual war. The story of the spiritual war is very present in our reality, in our inner and our outer, in any lens that you're currently journeying. But you will see this conflict. You will see this blame game. You'll see projection. You'll see these extreme amounts of, like, horrific things that are terrifying, that are disgusting, that they have all of these different really lower vibrational energies to them, and they're showing you where you're not witnessing them or yourself in the eyes of God. And what is taking place on the grand scheme of things at 3:33 is the coming together of these extreme polarities. Even if you're only doing it in one portion of your consciousness, maybe it's the portion of your consciousness is merging your masculine and your feminine. So you no longer see yourself as masculine or feminine, but you see yourself as your essence and your truth, which is both energies merged together. And there's an activation of that. That's like polarity coaching, looking at your relationships, men and women. How do I believe? What do I believe about myself as a woman? What do I believe about men in the world? And there's this activation that will come up of like, someone, said that I was too masculine of a woman and I'm cold, right? That might be the activation point. And you're like, oh, I am cold. Okay. And then you go through this clearing process, and you're clearing that process. And it may be that you're in that might be your theme. You might be going through the masculine and feminine energies and going through this activate, clear, purify, solidify. But wherever you're at in your journey, it's bringing together a unified expression. It's bringing together the polarizing lenses into a unified expression, so that we, on the Earth's scale, so if we're looking at the humanity at the moment and we're looking at the truth of humanity, we have been in a manifestation phase. The manifestation is the part of purifying, right? So when we manifest, we have like we go through this like purification. We're not all right, I'm going to zoom this right out so this makes a lot of sense. When you activate something, it's an idea, right? So when you activate, it's an idea, it's a thought. When you clear it, you're looking at whether it's possible or not possible. where you've decided there's a no choice universe, or there is a possibility to create something. So your clearing is like these belief systems, these structures. So on the zoomed out lens, we're looking at the earth as a whole and the collective as a whole. So we've been clearing for quite, like, there's been a lot of clearing in our collective consciousness, and now we're going into this ending of a purification of our collective consciousness to bring in, when I talk about the bringers of change, we're purifying our consciousness as a whole. Now we have different layers. I'm not going to go into the different dimensions of collective consciousness, but the individuals that are walking this path in the leadership spaces are going through this purification. Now we have another tier under there that is in the clearing, and underneath that, right? So there's different layers of the bringers of change. The activation is the first awakening. So when you activate, you're like, I'm awakening. Oh, everything I was taught about reality is a lie. That's when you start the clearing process, and you clear all these beliefs of like collective conditioning and what I thought my reality was, and go through an intense dark night of the soul. And so we've got individuals in all of these layers at the moment, right? We've got so many beings that are waking up, and they're waking up. And then we have all of these people that are sitting in this clearing point where they're cleansing the ideas of what they thought reality was, and they're looking at the possibilities. And then there's the purification, which is the manifestation. It's like, I've purified this. I know this is possible. So your purification is, I know this is possible. What does this look like? I actually can feel this. I know this. It might be a divine union relationship. It might be that you have seen a vision of something that you're going to create in the world, and you're like, I know this is possible. I know this is possible, but I'm like, it's not here yet. Like, it's not my truth yet. I don't know how to bring that into reality, because the purification process takes place. And so with these, you've got this collective bringers of change in this purification of, I know that what we can create as community is going to change. I know that these structures, I've seen these visions, I know who I am and what I'm bringing into the world. And there's all of this magic that it's like a knowing, but there's nothing landing, right? There's no landing, there's no anchoring. You can't anchor until it's purified. So that's when it goes into the solidification. So the solidification is the purified expression coming into a physical, tangible reality. It's, holy shit, this came into my reality. I knew it was true. There's a completion process, right? And that's what happens, is we are able to actualize, embody, solidify the process that we've been through. And so what's happening at the moment is, for myself and others in this space are in this, actually, this is happening. It's starting to happen. There's little things landing in the high level of consciousness of unified expression, actually landing in the reality. The level of infinite ability, the amount of transcending human mind and being like, if I think it, I can create it. I am pure creation. And actually solidifying, when you have an experience where you can when you can be pure creation in a moment. And I don't have the space to tell you what that looks like, but I would love to share over the coming times some of these experiences for educational activation purposes. Some of the pieces that I've been like really solidifying of instant manifestation and the ability of the quantum and the mind, and what that creates in this right here, the solidification of everything that you knew was possible. So in that is what we're moving through on a collective level, is the golden ages. We are actually going from not just a manifestation where we're like purifying it and we've seen it and we're in the golden age of the earth and the second coming of Christ, and all of it's like felt, it's known, it's seen, it's like, but we're moving through it. We're actually bringing it into the body. We're actually bringing in these unified truths in this now reality, here and now, where there are beings that are going around and being able to touch you with the hands of Christ and heal you instantaneously. Now that's just the beginning. If you start looking at how you've got these amazing inventors, and you've got these amazing people with amazing minds, and every single one of us has different medicine and magic, when we come into that point of being able to go, the golden age is no longer a thought form or a consciousness, the golden planet, when we start to go, actually we're anchoring the golden planet into the earth grids. We are embodying it in so that we can start to live from the golden ages in physical, tangible reality, not from a story. No more stories. They're starting to dissolve away because we are climbing that ladder. And yes, at the moment it's, well, I mean, if anyone's been moving through the depths of hell the way I have, we're doing what we can, and the level of support, and I want to share this, the level of support to your human is so beyond what you like. Synchronicity is an understatement. You know, the guidance that we're receiving is absolutely understated to our human mind. Every single place that we go and everything that is taking place is divinely guided when we're listening and for the highest good. And even those things that we perceive not to be, because they're bringing us into what is needed for the activation. They're bringing us into what is needed for the clearing. They're bringing us into what is needed for the purification and for our evolution, so we can solidify this into our reality. And every layer is helping each other. This is where the demons and the angels work together, because they mirror to each other what is necessary. And either way, at some point, there's a middle point of meeting and unifying. There is a desire for most of us to get to that point, and most of us have chosen that before this lifetime. There are other beings that are not choosing that. There are beings choosing descended consciousness. There are beings choosing control. There are beings that are evolving into the higher dimensions of the ascended consciousness of the galactic in the 9th dimension. There are different levels, and that's all a part of the greater whole. We require every single mirror and every single experience. So how do we do it more easily and gracefully? Sometimes it's going to be hard. You might feel like you are literally walking with demons for 2 months straight, and that you've lost all joy in your life. But how can you do it really from truth? Through the eyes of God, through the I am divinely guided, through the take time to sit with myself, through the connecting to my chi every morning, through my art, through my breath, through my stillness, making time for me to move through the accelerated and rapid purification that is taking place. Moving through the points of this reality requires the physical maintenance of my vessel, the spiritual maintenance of my mind. Every part of this to stay in some form of not creating psychosis. If you're on any of these, you know, if you're listening to anything I have to say, you are rapidly purifying. You are choosing this path. You are going into a place of unification and ascension. This is your choice. You wouldn't be here on this call if you weren't choosing that. So that, when you're doing that with our molecular structure of our earth at the moment, that is intense. That's insanity. Some of the things that have been happening within our world, if we look at our outside world, it's insanity at the moment. It is so conflicting and so much chaos that if you imagine that internally, if we're not nurturing ourselves, grounding ourselves, and feeling into our body, feeling into our heart, coming in, returning home, there will be a point where you'll spiral so much out, right? Because your energetic vibration will continue to shift, that it will create an intense amount of neuropathway shifts. Your heart will not be able to maintain your energetic vibration. You will end up having physical pains. You may end up with heart palpitations. You may end up with some level of psychosis, because it's very, very, very important during this time to be nurturing, to be slow, to be gentle, and to not try and make sense of everything, because you won't be able to make sense of what is beyond the human cognitive understanding. It's so zoomed out that you can only see a limited focal point and perspective. And so don't make sense of everything. Don't analyze it. Just stop analyzing things. If there's, as you're moving through this, no matter where you're at on this spiral, let go of the analytical mind. Ask yourself the questions, but ask it from your heart. And when you're coming into your heart, don't just drop down. Bring your energy up from the earth. Come into the center. This is unified, above and below, in the middle. Come here. Come here. Come here. Tap your chest as many times as you need to during the day to return back home. Breathe into that space and allow that place to go, okay, just a moment. Even if you're mid-conversation and you're feeling yourself getting anxiety and you're getting all up here, or you're self-abandoned, or you can't feel your body, just returning. Stop. I just need to take a moment. Just need a moment. Don't have to say anything else other than to be present with you. I just need a moment. Step away from large crowds of people. Step away from your technology and your devices. Step away from the oversensory noise. Whatever is there, go sit under a tree if you need to. Sing, scream, breathe. But do it from here, from truth. Be as expressive as you want. Speak into the pieces of hatred, anger, rage, everything that you're really feeling, but feel it from here. Because if you can feel it from here, it brings it out of your Holy Trinity. It doesn't get suffocated or stagnant. It actually circulates, it moves it. If you're screaming, shouting, and projecting and saying all of these different energy expressions, but you're in your story, you're just going to keep looping. You'll loop and you'll loop and you'll loop and you'll loop, and you'll end up giving yourself some form of paranoia or depression, where your brain can't cope anymore and it will shut down and you'll be super fatigued and tired. Any of those times, if you're super loopy, here, there's something really big for you. Or if you're super fatigued and you feel like you don't have energy, then there's something really big there for you. What do we have to say? Mayandea kiare yandei. No ra ya 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 ya. Currently, the Earth's platelets are moving through a realignment process where the timelines and the juncture points based on different individuals moving through their past life memory and collective stories dissolving at a core level that are shifting the juncture points of the platelets, which is allowing for a new vibrational frequency to be solidified into the earth. This realignment process means that different ley lines and song lines will shift their trajectory in support of the new vibrational resonance, so that the solidification of the energy of the golden earth can start to be anchored into the earth. This affects every single being, because as the earth shifts, your internal molecular structure shifts. Your bones will shift with the timelines. Your organic matter will start to shift to hold the new vibrational resonance of the earth and the golden frequencies that are coming in. This is an extremely uncomfortable period for your physical body when you do not have the awareness of what is taking place. If there is a confusion, listen to your body and allow yourself to rest when it needs to rest, to move when it needs to move, to eat when it needs to eat, and to allow yourself the space to be with yourself. As this shift on the Earth's platelets takes place, you will find different consciousness signatures and templates will realign from inversions into a balanced, harmonized, and synergized experience. What I mean by that is that some of the inversion templates may hold the core wound or the story of the divine feminine and the current story and narrative of what the divine feminine means, or the divine feminine expression in relation to our current Earth's expression will start to shift into a new evolved expression. And that will mean that your own energetic signatures and templates that are held in different parts, chakras, meridians, organs of your body will start to activate and move and realign these to allow for the synergized and purified expression of what that is. You do not need to know exactly what is taking place, but you do need to listen. This time will allow for the energy of your neural pathways to be connected to the earth and to the collective consciousness so that you can receive the activations and the downloads from those that are gifting these into the structures of the earth. All that is required is to stay in your heart, in receptivity, to open yourself to receiving, bare feet on the ground. Allow yourself to connect with the earth, and what is being moved through, you can receive simultaneously. Not everybody has to do the work in the same way. If you desire to shift as the consciousness shifts and to receive these core woundings that are being reconciled and rectified, then just allow yourself to come into here. Open your heart, breathe in and up, and allow yourself to open to the full receiving of what Source has for you. I love you, I love you, I love you. Mwah. Ahava. Speak soon.